And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You're joined once again with your host, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX CRM, as well as Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from hyperClean Car Care Products and the Pints and Polishing Podcast. That's right. And we're out there in the world ruffling feathers. That's all we're doing. Sorry, we were having a laugh before the podcast, and people are butthurt in the world.
Changing the game.
Anyway, changing the game. That's it, baby. Exactly. You can't expect the game to stay the same. That's it. Man, but how was your weekend, though?
Lazy.
Ah, those
I mean,
those
it's
are the best.
cold.
Sometimes you need those, you know?
Like
Yeah.
Sunday, I barely got off the couch. Barely.
That's
I got off the couch just to go do something, so I didn't have to keep looking at. So we, for some reason, I don't know why I include myself as we. Maybe because I sat on the couch while they watched Alvin and the Chipmunks, and then Alvin and the Chipmunks 2, and then they wanted to start 3, and I was like, hold on, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's a bit much. I tried to eat, I tried to go do some things, like, but for the most part, I just sat there and was like, okay, Alvin and the Chipmunks, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
You just welcome it in, embrace the chaos.
I mean, it was 4 degrees, 11 degrees, 15, like it brutal. I mean, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. You just hibernate and wait. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes you need that time though to recharge the batteries and stuff like that. And so I've been doing the same. So I've been working on some home rental stuff. And last week was a week of flooding. There's a funny story here, but fun. Well, yeah, not fun at all. Water, like I do my own electrical, this, that, construction stuff, but water, I don't mess with. Yeah, I do electrical, usually before the rum kicks in. But yeah,
the best work starts after.
That's where exactly swinging my hammer. But yeah, so I renovated the whole basement. We put in a sauna, put in a gym, all kinds of stuff. We did all the work ourselves because we wanted to put our touch on the home. Anyway, turned out perfect. But hire a plumber, he comes in, sets up a new sink that we had next to the laundry room. So he sets up the sink, everything seems like it's going to be fine, Run our first load of laundry, and I was like, I have to go downstairs and finish 1 or 2 things. So I went back downstairs, and there's just fucking water everywhere. I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, clean up the water, turned off the washer, everything like that, and got the plumber back in. He said, okay, well, everything's fine with the plumbing, but the drain was clogged. That's why it backed up. Sure, okay. So anyway, charges me a pile of money to unclog the main drain that goes out to the city sewer. Get that fixed. Okay, great. Everything's fine. Washer's working again. Life is good. And then my wife's running the dishwasher. I'm running the washer. And all of a sudden, the main drain down here starts to bubble up, starts to spill over. I'm like, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. So there's 2 sections of the drain they had to unclog. They came back, unclogged that one. 3rd time now. Everything's dry now. Everything's perfect. I come downstairs and I'm sending a video to my buddy. He's in construction. I was like, look what I did by myself, bro. I was so proud. I show him. He's like, looks amazing. I turn to the other side and there's water all over the place. I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me. My water heater.
You sent him that photo too?
Yeah, I did actually. He started laughing. He's like, way to go, bro. I was like, thanks. So my water heater gave out. And it was just, we bought an older home. So it was built in 1969. But we bought it for the bones, old bungalow. It's just beautiful. Had 6 bedrooms, nice, beautiful place. We've so far renovated almost the entire house. This was the last section that we wanted to renovate. And anyway, we got it renovated. But the water heater was like 15 years old. It was before my daughter was born. It was its time. You know what I mean? And anyway, it just so happened that it was that weekend, and they told me, they said, anytime you do plumbing stuff, it's a chain effect. It'll, you turn water off and on and valves and all this shit, stuff starts breaking. So we have a new water heater now, which is good. And in between this, though, I'm messaging people and stuff, OrbisX support and things, and they have no idea what's going on, So I was just like, keep my composure. Yeah, I can help you with that, whatever, I'm standing in 2 inches of water. Like, it's fine. But I didn't lose my cool the whole time. And the plumbers were blown away by it. They were talking to the main company, and even the lady, I had called her before she sent an invoice, and I said, I usually get your invoice right away. I haven't received anything. I just wanted to pay it. So she sent me one on the phone. I paid it right away. And she said, geez, look, first off, we've been talking so much this week, it's like we're friends. And she said, second off, she said, most customers by this point would be so frustrated and pissed off. And I said, well, it's all mindset. what is me getting upset? It's not going to put the water back in my water heater. You know what I
You
mean?
work through so many problems in your business. This is just another problem to work through.
Exactly. Just something that
That
needs a
is a
solution.
skill set, and it's a part
Yeah.
of life that I think many people don't understand as you grow
Yeah.
in business and over years and years and years.
Just
You just find less stress around normal things because it's
exactly.
really not a big a deal as the other
As you
fires
think
you'd
it
already
is.
put out.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it. It's like getting calloused, you know? So
Yes.
instead of calluses on your hands, it's like
Mm-hmm.
your whole body, your mind, everything is just
Mm-hmm.
calloused, you know? And it's an important thing because I was listening to this neuroplasticity specialist or whatever. I don't know, someone that deals with like brain things and stuff. I was listening to a podcast yesterday and they were talking about, you know, men and as we age and, you know, the number one killer is, you know, heart attacks and this and that, high blood pressure, whatever. But it all stems from stress and sleeping. And something very interesting that I didn't know, which was we all say, you know, you need 8 hours sleep, 8 hours sleep, right? But where does that number come from? And it comes from 8 hours and 15 minutes. So when you go to sleep, your body is removing toxins from your brain, which is crazy. So they put sensors to monitor the water and the liquid flow. And they thought they would see some flow, stuff like that. But actually, it's like a river. It's just flowing constantly, and it's your body clearing out toxins from your brain. So when you sleep too much, some of it goes back into your brain, and so you wake up groggy, puffy face, all kinds of stuff. And when you sleep too little, you haven't finished the process. And so for people that you know, my wife, even sometimes she wakes up 3 times throughout the night. She thought that was abnormal. According to this doctor, it's normal. You should wake up every 3 hours, apparently. So
Hmm.
3 hours is the cycle that it goes through, but it has to do that 2.5 or 3 times or something. And so you'll go from like being partially awake to partially asleep and then REM state. And then your body will kick out of that, go back to being partially awake, partially asleep, and then REM state. And it'll do that over and over as it's cleansing the body. And apparently, the partially awake part is necessary in order to like kickstart the next phase or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'll post the podcast link. It was really good, actually. It was really well done. But anyway, yeah. So I was listening to that, and they were talking a lot about stresses. And so people that if they do this over time, the toxins build up, you get headaches, you get stressed out, and you don't deal with problems well. Your memory is literally foggy. And I deal with things really well, but part of it just comes from experience, not so much sleep, but just you're right, going through shit. But you got to stay calm, you know, because if not, you might have a heart attack, quite literally.
But young and going through things, I didn't stay calm.
Ah,
You know, I wasn't a yeller. I've never been a fighter. I've never been that guy. I
yeah.
just didn't stay calm with and went on to the next thing. Like,
Okay.
okay, there's this problem. Okay, whatever. I'm on to the next thing. Like, I'll
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
with that later. And I
Deal
had
with
to
it.
work
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this, and then I'd come back to it. So I wasn't always the best, you know, at dealing
Okay.
with it because the way I dealt with it was to shove it off because
Push
I
it
had
off to
more
the side.
important things
Yeah,
to do. You know,
true. But sometimes that's okay because sometimes a problem, like not everything needs to be addressed right this second. You know what I mean?
sometimes you're right.
Yeah. Like,
Not all the times. Some
true.
times that it
Yeah.
wasn't. You know, you take a lot of earful from people on like, I
Very
can't
true.
believe you, and I thought da da da. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, oh. Well,
Jesus.
I didn't need this either. Where'd that come from? Like, God
It's
damn.
true. Yeah. Like us at our shop, we had a flood at our shop once, and it was a sewer that had backed up. That was a big deal. We had to deal with it right away. But when we have customers that might be upset about something, you know, expectations not being met, or something was, you know, whatever the situation is, those situations sometimes the best thing to do is give them a chance to cool down and yourself a chance to cool down, and just let them know, like, you know, I'm not sure how I'm going to solve this right now, but I promise you, I'm dedicated to providing you with the solution that you're happy with.
It'll
And then
come. I just need to go take this walk.
yeah, exactly. You know, I'll be back in 15. How's that sound? You know, let's each have a beer and then we'll be good to go. But yeah, but one thing I did do this weekend, and I know today is going to be a more brief episode, so I'll transition into a tip right now because I have obviously bouquet again. So this weekend I also had some relaxing time, and I went to visit my nephew. It was his birthday; he turned 2. It was really nice, and when we were there, they rented out this gym from a school. So instead of doing the regular thing where you rent out one of those like arcade places or the playground place or whatever it is, you know, they
That
said,
was us on Saturday.
yeah, it's mayhem in there, man. Oh my God.
Listen, I had to look at the lady one time and I go, I get it. You don't want them to go out and play the arcade games for 20 more minutes. What am I supposed to do? Like, you really expected me to sit in here for 20 more minutes with a bunch of banshees running around?
Yeah,
We
no,
just
it's
fed them
crazy.
cake. They've been
Yeah, they're like
drinking soda.
a bunch of
Like,
hyenas. Like it's crazy.
you joking here?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd have
Can't
some
do it.
get real moments with them.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, well, you can't do that till you put, it's about money. I can get that in here now. Like, come on. You got the card on file, don't you? Let's roll.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, well, people don't normally do that.
Well, geez, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they rented this gym and it was awesome because half the people there played basketball like in leagues and stuff. And so it was big gymnasium, there was basketball nets, and then there was these little scooter things for the kids to like roll around on. There was a bouncy castle, all kinds of stuff. But it was just us, you know, so it was pretty cool in that sense. And it wasn't like everything cost, you know, like $5 here, $10 there. The kids could just do whatever. So that was pretty cool. But when we were there, on the fridge that was there was a magnet, and it was for a house cleaning place, and it had a list of all the emergency numbers and everything like that that were nearby the community center. And so I
Yeah.
started thinking, I was like, community, exactly. Hey, Zalu. So we always did magnets and we do them as giveaways for customers because that way we're top of mind, right on their fridge. But it only can go to someone that's kind of interacting with us, right? An existing customer or something like. You can't just go up to a stranger and be like, "Hey, buddy, put this on your fridge." It's like, yeah, thanks, throw it in the garbage, right? But if there's ways you can get in, for example, realtors, someone buys a new house, things like that, or even your local community center or your school, things like that, had me thinking. So I designed something very basic, but this is essentially it. So this
Nice.
printout of it. They're 4x6 magnets that were getting printed at my print shop, printingshark.com. Shameless plug. Anyway, logo, phone number, everything. Oops, the stuff that we do. I'll be posting this as a template for everyone to download for free. And then just emergency numbers and contacts. So I have the hospitals that are nearby, stuff like that. And I'm going to get these printed 4x6. So it's big enough. We're prominent. We're right there. And I'm literally going to just gift them to the schools that are nearby in the community centers and also a couple of the churches. And I'm going to say for any of your members or your new members or new students, families, things like that, give them some magnets so they have some of the, you know, the poison control number, you know, the hospitals, all that kind of stuff on hand. And it's going to be a great tool. And it's something you can do very inexpensively, but then boom, you're top of mind. And so I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. I'll let you know how it goes, obviously.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
like your logo. It's updated from mine, but one of my original,
Oh, nice.
that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 2010 logo, right? The
Yeah,
little car outline.
mhm.
It's interesting where you find different popular logos had like a 5 year period where maybe even, you know, less, but you see some segments of industry where you're like, huh, right?
Yeah, you're like,
There
ah,
were
yeah,
some
yeah,
people that always put that like car over the top, and then your word like. Then there was a,
exactly.
oh, we want to get away from that, you know, and
I
so they
know.
ventured out. But there was a segment where
Yeah,
everybody put a car, you know, outline over their words, and that was their logo.
exactly. It's funny, you know, because a lot of people always, you know, tell me they're like, oh, you went with the classic, you know, like half car thing, whatever. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
did.
You know what I mean? Like,
It
yeah,
was a thing. Yeah.
exactly. Like, are you calling up Nike and being like, really? A check mark? Really? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, absolutely. It works, it's effective. And at the time we started the shop, that was like the thing to do. And it just
Yep.
made sense, you know. But the whole thing is your brand, like really, customers, you know, they're not going to be as focused on your logo as you might think. Branding is important, but branding and a logo are two very different things as well. Logo is part of a brand, but it's not the brand, you know, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so there's times we do promotions and we just have the text, no logo, just says Auto World, because it's less important. We make sure the colors match as to what they're expecting to see from the ad to the landing page to when they show up and they see our garage door. We make sure all of that matches. That's for consistency. That's our brand. But the actual logo itself doesn't matter as much as people, you know, apply credit to, I would say. But you know, I mean, it depends. If your logo's the only thing you got, then maybe spend a little more time on it. In our case, this was just fine. But yeah. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool when we were there. And another quick segue is that the rental of that place also had me thinking. And when detailers, you know, during the winter, we talked about this last week. What do they do? I had a guy reach out to me last year, and he was asking me, he's like, "Winter's coming up. What should I do?" And I told him, I said, "You should reach out to some of the airport hangars that are nearby and see if they have any space where you could detail cars. It's indoors, it's heated, and they likely have some extra space where you could, you know, pull a car in and do whatever you need to do." Anyway, he
You didn't
followed
tell
up.
them, hey, focus on interiors.
Yeah, yeah. Focus on interiors. Interiors only. That's it. No, absolutely not. This guy's in there now. He messaged me. He's in there now. Not only that, last year he was doing only detailing and ceramic coating. This year he added tinting. So he's in there doing tinting and he's doing a ceramic coating still in a time where he would have otherwise been doing only interiors or not working at all. Right. And so anyway, it was nice to get an update from him. That was cool. I wasn't
Absolutely.
one, and he shot me a message. He said he's paying $1,000 a month to rent the hangar, well, a space in the hangar, and he just had to provide his own insurance, show them he had all the documents, stuff like that, and now he's good to go. And he's secured himself a couple contracts for some planes as well. So
I was going to say, I imagine just being there, he's going to
exactly,
get some
and
extra stuff as well as maybe
exactly.
some extra cars.
Oh,
Like,
I was about to say the people that are in there, they also have cars. So there's one guy. It's so funny because small world. But my old neighbor, he was a pilot for many years, and so he's got this. Well, I don't know if he has it now, but he had a beautiful yellow Corvette. Anyway, this guy had mentioned Bruce's name to me, and I
I
was
don't know
like,
that I would use beautiful and yellow Corvette in the
okay,
same sentence.
take out
I
the Corvette
don't,
part, but this
I
guy's
really don't.
Corvette was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. This guy's Corvette was
You
beautiful.
did it again.
I
I
will.
just,
I'll say it again. But you know what though? It was a very particular. It was an older one. Do you remember the movie Con Air?
I remember it, but I don't
Nicholas
remember it,
Cage.
if you know what I mean. Like they were shipping,
Okay.
was that Nicolas Cage? And they were shipping, they
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sending,
yeah.
uh, you know, cons and they were having to fly them. And yeah,
Yeah. All right, I'll send you a photo because this guy basically has the same thing, but just yellow. I'll send you a photo. It was beautiful. I will say that it was a beautiful machine. But anyway, he had 3 planes though, and he's actually in that hangar. And so, but he knows a shit ton of people. And
Nicolas Cage was in the hangar.
no, no, Nicholas Cage, no. Yeah, but anyway, I have a funny story about him. I'll tell you after. But I was almost involved in the financing for the movie Casino Jack. I don't know if you remember that. And we were supposed to pull him in, and anyway, it was a whole thing. But that was many moons ago. But the Corvette. Okay, aside from the make and model, this guy knows a lot of people, and so just one, you know, stepping stone to the next. But it all started with him proactively doing something during the winter instead of just throwing in the towel and saying, okay, everyone says do interiors only. I guess that's what I should do. So he took a different route, and now he's doing coatings in the middle of winter. Like we've got, I don't know, 2 feet of snow outside, and he's doing coatings. He wouldn't have been able to do them outside, but now he has a place where he can do them without the commitment, excuse me, of a shop. You know, so that's a win. I think that's another huge
Absolutely.
tip for guys during the winter is that look for alternative spaces. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of places. There's even some places for lease in between time when the guy can't really lease it during, you know, like January, February, March, whatever. You might find a place that's open to a short-term lease. Like you'll take, you know, yeah, I'll take 3 months, and then you might find that in those 3 months you boost up business so much. Next thing you know, you're there for 20 years. Like you never know, right? And so that's where taking those chances really helps. But yeah. Anyway, that was a quick mini tip for today. But yeah, my main thing I did want to talk about today, and I'll talk about just briefly, is I was having a team meeting and we were talking about, you know, pricing and things like that because we've increased some of our pricing on different things this year, and some of the staff were, you know, oh no, we should keep it the same. It was really easy to sell when it was the same. And I was like, listen, we dictate the price, the customer dictates the value. And so I said, it's up to you to find out what they value, and then we sell that, we match their value, and then we introduce the price. I said, that's what we have to do. So I did this little exercise with them, and I call it prolonging the diagnostic. And so what we do at our shop is we role play a lot. We do things like that. And so one of the things that we do is the diagnostic part is where you're talking to the customer to find out what they value, basically. So someone says, I want to get a ceramic coating done. Most people just jump right into it. They're like, okay, great. We have this year, we can book you in this date, and they just jump right into it without finding out why the customer wants to get the coating done in the first place. And so then when you go and hit them with the price, you haven't done anything to meet them halfway. They haven't told you anything about the value, and you just throw the price at them. But what you want to find is some common ground where you found out a little bit about the value, so that when you tell them the price, it's not a sticker shock. It's nothing like that. Instead, you're saying, based on what you told me today, this is where you need to be. You don't even have to give them the different options. You can say, I know you value X, Y, Z. So this coating and this many, years or this whatever makes sense for your situation. This is the price. Does that number make sense to you? And then you now are having a discussion about value instead of a discussion about price, where you're going to try and create the value out of thin air because you have nothing to go on. So we prolong that diagnostic period as much as, like, why do you want to get a ceramic coating? Like, well, what is it about ceramic coatings that you've heard so far that made you call us? What was it that you were looking up online? And find out what the real problem is. I got this bird that lives above my garage and he just shits on my car all day. Like, who knows what it is? You find out crazy things just by asking. And that's where you can really, dictate the conversation. And through that, be prepared with your upsells as well, because as they're telling you that, that's your goal, is looking for the value. Where can I provide the solutions? A lot of us jump into the solution selling too soon. And so prolong that diagnostic to the point that it's almost uncomfortable, where you're asking them question, hammer them for information. They're going to give it to you. They called you, they're looking for something, find out what that is, and then provide the right solutions. And you're going to see those ticket prices go way up, and not because you're overselling a $4,000 coating.
Have you gotten into a sales presentation or trying to talk to somebody and then you're like, I'm just not sure if this is going the way it's supposed to?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why I love that question that you have your guys ask.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
It's the best question ever to ask. Like, you can ramble off whatever you want. If you don't ever know if it's computing in the other person's brain, you're just talking and you're just yapping.
And you're overselling. Yeah. And
you gotta ask the question
10 minutes ago.
Does this make sense? I love that question.
Yeah.
I ask it all the time.
Yeah. And that's the opportunity where they say either yes, and you're like, okay, great. So in that case, how do you want to book your appointment today? Visa, MasterCard, what are we doing? Or, oh, it doesn't make sense. What would make it make sense to you?
Yeah. What do I need to explain more?
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's the key difference between, selling somebody and providing the solution, right?
So the listeners that I know there's a ton of that ask the question after they talk to somebody. They'll go, so do you want to, do you want, how about, right? Like, they have a hard time going in for the close. I get it. I was there too. If you're that type of person, stop worrying. Ask that question. That's all you got to do. You could go over, it doesn't matter. And then just go, does that make sense? That is your question, because they will tell you what you need to talk about next.
Yep, exactly. They'll literally just, I've never once on a sales call, and I've done thousands of them, never once had that just lead to dead air. Every single time they say something and boom, now we're on that direction.
That's the tip.
That's
use that question. Does this make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely the tip. And I would say also,
it's kind of a way of making your own tip. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're putting your tip in. Hey, does it make sense? Hey,
does that make sense?
Put just a tip in?
Exactly.
Hey, what's wrong with the tip?
Absolutely. That is something I think everyone should do, though. Even if you don't feel you're in sales, you're in sales. You're a business owner, and listen to these tips and employ them. Literally, like, employ them in your business and realize that you are in sales, whether you like it or not. But sales can be a lot easier depending on the questions you ask, but also in the answers too, because part of this process we do is intentional listening. So listening to the customer, what they're saying. So when they are telling you certain things like, well, I wanted to get a ceramic coating because of this and that, they're literally telling you their objections, like objectives. Sorry. They're telling you, I want to do it because this is my goal or whatever. Like I want to make my car easier to clean, or I want to make sure that I preserve the shine, or whatever the case may be. They're going to tell you. So listen to that. And part of that process is if they ask you something like, well, how do I know that it's going to last X amount of years, right? Part of intentional listening is also not introducing a new topic. So don't say something in addition to that. Just if you don't know, because you're not understanding, like when someone says, how long is my ceramic coating going to last? What does that mean to them? Like it could mean a lot of things. Like how long is it going to last? Because I go through the car wash every day. Or how long is it going to last because I take my car off-roading every night? Like who knows? So that's where I don't know is such a powerful statement when it's coupled with their original question. So for example, how long is my ceramic coating going to last? Well, I don't know how long it would last for you based on what you're doing. What does last, mean to you? And so throw it back in their court and be like, how long are you expecting it to last? And then they'll tell you, well, I was looking for something that'll make my car easy to maintain for the next 1 to 2 years. Perfect. Now you have something you can go on. Or you might have someone that says, well, I was hoping it'll last for the lifetime of the vehicle. And it's like, okay, well, knowing that, how long do you plan on keeping the vehicle?
Oh, what's a lifetime for you? Yeah.
Exactly. And so without having that information, you might be trying to sell someone a 10-year or lifetime coating when they're like, listen, I switch my car out every 2 years. Like, will it last 2 years? That's what I want to know, or will it have resale value after the 2 years? Certain things. So finding out that information. So that's where the dialogue is something you can get really good at in 2024 is practicing those kinds of questions as well as the, intentional listening as well. So that would be my tippity tip for today. There we go.
So you mentioned hyenas earlier.
Mm-hmm. Crazy animals, by the way. Yeah.
Wow. Like
I was talking
and
about
just
my
looking
cousin.
at them too, right? They're like,
I know they like. Why do they gotta look like that? That was a perfect mimic of it. Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they
They
just
do
always
look
look
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like fangled and like. Anyway,
Fangled. That's the perfect. Jesus.
like I, I'm not sure if this is a tip or a warning or what. I'm not sure,
Mm.
but I was talking to one of our distributors recently, and we were talking about turnover in the industry,
Mm.
and at what point does there turnover and where does it turn over? What caused the turnover? And there's something that we kind of realized. And once you said hyenas, I kind of was trying to figure out, well, how do I characterize this thing that I'm seeing with a warning? And I go, once you said hyena a second ago, I went,
You're like,
that's it, right?
that's
Like
it.
hyena and just thinking of a hyena. And then I go, that's it. That's perfect because we're seeing something inside the industry that, I've talked with multiple people about that we're just really confused on is these people that start to grow up and they're a couple years into it, maybe 3, 4, 5, and they start feeling pretty good about themselves, right? They've grown their business and they've made it through the first year, which is an accomplishment. They have a couple people on their staff. It's another milestone. It is a great accomplishment. Very much so. There seems to be this part where some of them turn into hyenas and they start trying to pick off other weak detailers that are out there.
Yeah.
And I go, like instead of lifting others up and actually giving them some actual value, if you think that you want to care about an industry, which we're still undecided of what our industry is. You got these people in association. You got these people that represent here. You got groupies that are coming out of the woodworks complaining that they're groupies. I mean, you got everything. And you go, well, what is industry? I mean, is the stuff at Walmart? How many detailers would say the products at Walmart are the same part as your industry? How many of you would say, hey, the dealership is your industry? I don't know. So this word industry is getting very confusing. But we're seeing people that are detailers that have stayed on for a while now starting to chomp and eat away. And I want to say take advantage of, literally take advantage of, because we've all made mistakes when we were young in business. We all had to go through things to learn to how we're going to get there. We all had to develop and climb up levels and keep growing. We had to go through something like I talked about before. That's how you gain wisdom. You gain wisdom by going through things.
True.
Most people don't just know stuff. They're not inherently smart. You have to journey through them to gain wisdom. It seems like there's a group of these young, and they're still, I say young, 4, 5 years, and 4 to 5 years in the industry and in our economy and the way business has been, it's been pretty easy. Not until now, things are starting
to. The last 2-3 years,
tighten down.
It's like a gold mine.
Like a gold mine. So these guys, I've been in it 4 years, 5, 6. Once again, I'm not hating. I'm congratulating you on sustaining yourself for that long. But the same way hyenas have this weird bark, call, strange laugh. I mean, you just see some posts by these guys and you just go. Really? So my tip in a sense, or a warning, is guys, learn to do math. Learn to do math. If you see somebody post, hey, we've been doing thousands of these coatings and you should too. We've been doing them for years. You look at it and you go, okay, so 2 years, what's the average working? What's the 260 days? So we're 500 days, what is that per, week, per year? You start actually doing the math, you would go, dude, that's awesome. I mean, let's just say it's at $500, but most people are saying they do $1,000, $2,000 packages, but let's say 500 and they've done thousands. So minimum meaning 2,000 there. They've at least done 2,000 coatings for the past 2 years. These are statements that I'm seeing regularly on post inside of groups. Do the math. What does that mean? Let's say a minimum of $500. And let's say they've done at least 2,000, because that's what they're saying, thousands. That's at least 4 a day. And that's at least $1 million.
Yeah. In the 2 years.
In the 2 years. Doable. And if you did, I'm going to say great job, right? I'm not hating. I'm doing math. So then you look at the profile and you go, oh, your kids don't dress like you're a millionaire. Your family doesn't do that. You go, okay, let me look at these guys, their business. Oh, looks like you run a really good business with solid detailing photos and you're doing a great job.
True.
But not 4 coatings a day. And you're not showing photos of being a multi-millionaire because you just made $1 million off the coatings. Then you got all these other detail photos that you're showing every day. That's got to add up to even more.
That's true.
The
proof is in the pudding, like
when you see somebody say, hey, join this because I've done thousands of coatings. Do the math. When you do the math, it doesn't actually line up. So is that a warning? Don't know. Is that a tip? Not sure. But watch out for the hyenas.
Watch out for the hyenas.
Out for the hyenas.
Yeah, that's true. And honestly, and I think whether it's a tip or a warning depends on who's listening. And depending on the set of ears listening to this podcast, I think the big takeaway there is for detailers that are looking for advice or mentorship or recommendations on things or people to follow or listen to, is that not everything that glitters is gold, and the proof is really in the pudding. You know what I mean? And that's, see, it's one of those things, like for me, I have OrbisX members, their shops are doing numbers far beyond my shop. You know what I mean? Like there's some guys in Florida crushing it. And I only wish I had that weather all year round. It would be amazing. But that being said, no excuses. I shouldn't be held to a different standard just because of the climate. You know what I mean? So our shop is doing extremely well based on our targets, right? But I'm not out there acting like a hyena, trying to put down other detailers and chomp at the weak and stuff like that. It's more a supportive community. Hey?
Yeah.
But
Sure. I mean, and also
I've
don't
definitely,
mislead people that, hey, if you install this
yeah.
coating that you supposedly did thousands,
Hmm.
that you're going to be incredible. Your kids don't show us that you're incredible.
Yeah.
Your business page doesn't show us that you're a multimillionaire. So I'm saying to young guys and young people, like, when you see the post, do the math, look
Yeah.
at them and
Quick
go,
math.
does this person actually look like somebody who is making
Yeah.
millions?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
My vote is no, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. And I mean, like, I know people that, have millions that dress a certain way you'd never even know.
Agreed.
But I will
But
say, you pull up to the driveway, it's pretty evident.
you look at their kids' clothes.
Yeah,
You
that's a
look at
good
their
one,
wife's
actually.
clothes.
It's
And
funny.
it doesn't matter t-shirts. It matters quality of the t-shirt. How dirty are their
That's true.
clothes? What do their shoes look like? Like,
Yeah. It's true. It's funny because my brother-in-law, he always laughs because I don't wear jewelry. Like, I don't even have a watch on. I have watches and stuff, but anyway, like my clothes, like this. See, it says Mr. Gervais. That's all it says. But printed it at my own shop. But I just dress a certain way. I don't dress flashy or anything like that. And I'll go to the grocery store in my pajamas, feel no way.
yeah,
But he always laughs because he's like, man, do people not wonder? Because, like, I'll pull up to the grocery store, jump out of my SVR. I'm in like pajamas. I got paint stains on me and stuff. But at the end of the day, if someone looks, they're like, oh, okay, it's jumping out of a Range Rover. It's like, he's whatever he does, he's doing something. You know what I mean? And same thing. But then you look at my business partner Nick, he's same way, like no jewelry, nothing flashy, stuff like that. But then he'll drive home, and
yeah. I
the other
don't.
day, like, exactly,
I didn't
like
wear jewelry. Yeah.
exactly, and there's certain indicators, that you can see, and you're just like,
There's a
like,
class about people.
yeah, even the way they talk, the way they conduct themselves, and I think it all goes back to integrity. And I think that, like me, I follow certain people online, certain things, based on, who they are as a whole. Like, even Grant Cardone, I stopped following him because he just started going down a path that, first off, was
That's,
way too much towards realtors. I'm not a
mhm.
realtor in any way, shape, or form. And he just, yeah, it was just
And
too
too much
much.
about, here's my big plan. You should be like me. I mean,
Yeah,
that translates to, I've installed thousands of coatings. You should, this coating company too. I mean, like,
exactly. And
that
like, he
doesn't,
got there
yeah.
primarily by selling a course that was like, it's a course he made in like the 80s, and he's still selling as if it's relevant today. And so a lot of people are buying into it just because of the name. So they think there's integrity there, but there really isn't, because the information's outdated.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you got my buddy Jordan Stupar, who left his organization, got sued for like 2 years or something. Anyway, now he's out of his contract and he's launched his own course, and his stuff is the real deal. Like, my sales staff, we've all employed his methods into our sales tactics, and they work. But he has that integrity. And so that was the difference. And so you look at that and take a hard look in the industry, and it'll be pretty clear to see. Like, there's a lot of companies out there. Like, I could go buy an Audi and branded OrbisX as well and drive it around. And hire people that want to get on screen and wink at me all day. Like, yeah, I could do that stuff all day long. But reality is, I have a lot more integrity than that, and I focus on providing real software and real solutions to people. So anyway, that was my own little jab back at the industry there. There we go. Take two of those. Call me in the morning. But anyway, Marty, listen, appreciate your time. I appreciate your tip as well as your warning, depending on whose ears are listening. Absolutely, this industry is full of great people, but also full of some people that have switched up, to say the least. But anyway,
Some
wishing,
hyenas.
yeah, some hyenas, exactly, yeah. So wishing everybody the best 2024. Let's crush it. Get yourself some magnets. I'm going to post this template, and I will even, yeah, why not? For anyone that posts something exciting they're looking forward to this 2024, I'm gonna set you guys up with some magnets. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Not for your car.
Yeah. No. Exactly. There's limitations here, but absolutely. So I'll get you set up with a coupon code there for the OrbisX store. and you'll be able to get yourself some magnets for your business as well. And let's crush it. 2024. Let's go. Yeah,
Let's do it.
hyena free, baby. Hyena free. I'm gonna get a t-shirt, you know.
I'm a hyena, not a group.
Exactly. I'm a hyena, not a groupie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And what's an influencer? But anyways, that aside, Marty, appreciate you as always. Sorry, Marshall. Good stuff. We'll see you next week as well. And everybody tune in to Pints of Policy Podcast tomorrow or Thursday. Trying to remember.
Airs Tuesday and Saturday.
All right, there we go. All right, so this Saturday, because today's Tuesday. Oh, check out Tuesday and then Saturday. Look at that. You get 2 for 1. What? Good stuff. All right, man. Appreciate you as always. We'll talk soon. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.